Hey everybody, welcome back to another video here at homerecordingmadeeasy.com and here on my YouTube channel. And this time out, we're going to take a look at the API channel strip by Softube. Recently, I've done some API channel strip plugin reviews. The latest one from Brainworks in association with Plugin Alliance, the Lindell series. And a lot of my followers and a lot of comments from that video said, hey, how come you didn't check out Softube? So I don't own this plugin. I went out and got the demo here for you guys. And so we're going to take a listen to it. I've never played with it before. It's got an interesting kind of feel. It's quite a bit different than the other channel strips that I own, which is, again, the Brainworks version and the Universal Audio version as well. By the time you guys see this video, there also will have already been a live stream recorded where we actually compared the three in one live stream. You can check the archives for that on my playlist called Live Streams, and you'll see that video. It's actually being recorded before this actually comes out to YouTube. So you guys can actually, well, you'll see this in action, and then you can compare them, you know, sound-wise and function-wise to the other two that I just mentioned. But anyway, we're going to take a look at this. We're going to listen to it on a drum bus, on some acoustic guitars, on some vocals, and then across a whole mix here so you can kind of hear what it does, and I will walk you through it. But before we get to that, if you like with this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up and hit the notification bell so you know when I post other videos. Also, if this is your first time here, I want to give you a free gift at homerecordingmadeeasy.com. I want to give you a free mixing course. It's right on the homepage. Click the orange button. You'll get yourself a free mixing course worth about 50 bucks. My gift to you for checking out homerecordingmadeeasy.com. And if you stay around to the end of the video, I'm also going to give you another gift so you can use it at homerecordingmadeeasy.com. So stick around till the end of the video, please. It helps me out a lot. So anyway, here we are, Softube American Class A API. So I got myself some notes here. I've been researching this for a bit, doing some reading on it, and I want to give you some specifics. So let's first talk about the American Class A. So this is part of the Softube Console 1, which is really the hardware unit where you have some tactile feel knobs and stuff where you can control their plugins. They have other channel strips as well. An SSL, I forget the model number, a Neve version as well, and some other plugins along with this, where you can actually control the parameters on this unit called the Console 1. You can check that out at sweetwater.com. Links will be in the description box below for Sweetwater. But this is also the only channel strip, at least as of the recording of this video, where it's actually can be used without Console 1 and it's native because it has the controls right on the front. If you go look at the Neve and the SSL versions, doesn't have any knobs. Everything is done with Console 1. It's not a native plugin, but this is their first crack at a native plugin for a channel strip, which is cool because I don't own a Console 1. Now also, you have to understand that this is really not modeled on any one specific API console. People don't realize that in the analog world, an API console is really more of a modular console, meaning that it has cassettes where you could put in different EQ sections, different compressor sections, and such. And so it's almost like a custom-made kind of a thing. Whereas something like an Neve or an SSL, less of that. API is more module. Basically, you can customize it. So this is not based on any one specific desk. Okay. Whereas like the API Vision channel strip by Universal Audio is, as well as the Lindell channel strip is as well. Okay, so you want to keep that in mind. So let's walk through the plugin here. So if we start on the left-hand side, we have our low cut and high cut filters, or low pass, high pass filters, pretty standard stuff. We have a filter to the compressor where you can actually filter these to the compressor if you want, and we have a phase invert or phase flip, and then we have our input gain to hit our plugin a little harder on the preamp side. Pretty cool. Next to that, we have this thing called the shape section, and you could turn that on and off just by clicking shape. And in the shape section, we have a gate. We have a hard gate or a regular gate, and we have a gate threshold here and a gate release, okay, in the black and blue knobs. Underneath that is something that's interesting, which is unique to this plugin that isn't on the API desk as far as I know. You have a sustainer and a punch, which is really like a transient designer, which works really well. We're going to demonstrate that. That's pretty cool to have that on the plugin. To have a transient designer is really nice feature. In the center section here, we have our EQ section. Now our EQ section is really based on the mastering grade 5500 EQ, which was a stereo rack mounted unit according to the manual. Okay, so this is not something that was based off something that would go into a desk. It's based off their mastering grade EQ. So over here on the top left-hand corner here, we have type, where for the low filters, or the low frequencies down here on the left. This will control that, so we can have more of a shelf, more of a bell, okay? So you can have the type of curve that you want on the low frequencies. Our frequencies on the low go from 30 to 400, and they're stepped. They're not variable, so you can see that. And then beneath it, we have the gain. You can go 2, 4, 6. The first 3 steps are 2 dB increments, and then from there, it's 3 dB increments. So you can see 2, 4, 6, 9, 12. And same thing on the reduction side of it, okay? That's for the low frequencies as well as the high frequencies. You have the same type here. You have the same type of thing here, the way it's stepped. The high frequencies, and we'll get back to the middle in a second, start at 2.5K, go up to 20K, okay? All stepped. In the middle here, we have our mid frequencies, which is a bell, right? And these are proportional EQs, meaning that the more gain that you turn up, the narrower it gets. And same thing on the negative side, the more you cut, the wider the Q is going to get, okay? And so we have from 75 hertz to 1K here in the middle. And then next to that, we also have from 800 hertz to 12.5K, all stepped. And again, same thing, 2 dB increments on the plus and minus side for the first 3, and then 3 dB increments. On the bottom, we also have this thing called a gain multiplier, which you can actually lower this to quarter or half dB steps. So if you wanted to, you can add that so it's a half a dB steps or quarter dB steps as opposed to 1. Okay, if you want to do that, if you want a little bit more fine tuning on the gain reduction or the gain boost. Okay. Next to that, we have the order in which the EQ is placed in the signal path. Now, you'll see at the top here, right up here in the menu bar where I hover over this, if I click on the first one, the order is going to be the EQ, the shape, and the compressor. So the EQ, even though physically on the plugin doesn't move and you can't left click and drag it or anything like that, but the signal flow will start on the EQ, then it'll go to the shape or transient designer, and then it goes to the compressor. In the middle, it's going to go shape EQ compressor, which is really how you see it physically laid out here on the display. And then if you click this little green button to the right, now it's going to put the EQ after the compressor. So it's going to go shape compressor EQ. Make sense? Make sense? Okay, good. So that's how it is. So now next to that, we have our compressor, and the compressor section here is based on, let me see, I wrote it down. It is based on, I typed again, wrote it down. It's based on the 527 compressor. Okay, we have a ratio, attack time, release time. We have a parallel wet dry thing, which is unique to the plugin. And then we have our threshold. We have a hard knee or a soft knee. Now we have this type. We have a new type when you click it in, and then when it's not selected or in the outward position, it's the old type. So the new type is going to be more of a feedback style type of a compressor. It's going to have a little bit more of a clean sound to it, a little bit more transparent, a little bit more crispy. The old, when it's out, is going to be more of a feedback style compressor, reminiscent of the 525 compressor. And it's going to be a slightly more aggressive and maybe a little bit more warm sounding. And you can just experiment with that. Just keep in mind, because there are two different types of compressor circuits, that when you flip between it, you will see the gain reduction change quite a bit. You may need to adjust the threshold accordingly, okay? Then over to the right, we have a saturation section. We have a drive section. Anything above 12 noon is going to give you a little bit more hair, a little bit more grit. And then we have a drive character, which is unique to the Console 1 actual, what do they call it, the actual physical unit. The drive character, when you put it to the plus side, it's gonna focus the distortion more on the upper frequencies, and when you're beneath 0 on the minus section, it's gonna kind of focus the distortion on the lower frequencies. Okay, so there you go. And then we have our output volume, so we can level match the plugin. We have a bypass that we can bypass the whole plugin here. We also have a bypass on all the plugins in the top left-hand corner. Now we also have this display above the EQ section here, which will turn on when you turn the shape on. So you turn the shape on. This is the shape section here. The EQ section here will light up here. Now, the one thing that I noticed that on some other plugin reviews I've seen is that outside of the filter, where it actually shows the, let's see, I don't see, you can go back, you go to the wave, if you're on Curves version, they would normally have a display here where you can actually see. You may have to play back some audio. where you can see it here, but I've seen the blue line kind of come up here where you can see the shape, and I can't seem to get that on this version of the plugin in Studio One. But in the Pro Tools, in the AAX version, it's a little bit different. Not really sure why that is. Maybe you could comment below. I really can't figure it out, but I've only played with this a little bit. But anyway, you can... in the display here, the center is the EQ section. On the left is the on the right is the compressor section, and we'll see the gain reduction here once we start getting some compression happening. We also can view this in two ways, with the curves or with the waves. So when you're on waves, I'm reaching out for you. Can you hear me? And you turn down the threshold, you'll see the compression is more of a downwards fashion. But I kind of like the curves. And then you'll see the gain reduction meter right there. Okay, so it depends on how you want to view it. And that's pretty much it. So, like I said, this is on a drum bus. Now, on this drum bus, we have no other processing at all throughout the whole thing. I just threw up the faders and did a little bit of a balance. But we have kick, kick in, kick out, snare, hats, toms, overheads, rooms. Okay, so let's listen to it on just drums. And let's just try to dial in something quickly and see how it sounds. Okay, so we're hitting it pretty good here. Don't need to hit any harder than that. And you can see the values up here in the top. So right now we're doing about a 27 hertz roll off, low cut. Okay. Okay, there you go. When the equalizer's off, you can see that curve. See that? But when you turn the equalizer on, this goes away, where on other demos I've seen this line stay here and I can see the boosting and the cutting. I don't know if it's the version of this plugin. This is a VST versus a AAX, I'm not sure. But either way, we can still use it. So let's do about a 30, maybe a 30 hertz. Okay, let's go to the shape section. Yeah, a little bit 10K here, get rid of some of that cymbal. Okay, let's go a little bit of punch. So you can really hear that snare. Let me turn down that snare a little bit. It's getting a little loud. Don't want to clip everything here. So this is going to also work on the kick. Too much, obviously. Get a little bit of sustain. It's good for the toms. Okay. Before the shape. With it. Nice. Transient designer works really well if you do it sparingly. Let's hear it on the snare. Okay, let's get a little bit of EQ happening here. So let's get rid of some of that boxiness. Maybe around 400. We'll put it as a bell type. Take out 4 dB. So I add a little bit maybe at little 2 dB at 10K. It's before the EQ. Now we have the EQ coming in, let's see, after the compressor. Could put it before the compressor. Okay. Let's compress this a little bit. So we'll do like a 4:1 ratio because we have no other compression anywhere. 100% wet. Fastest attack. Thing is, we gotta turn down the output to level match the plugin. Let's bypass this. Wow, it's a big difference, right? Especially on the EQ side. Use a little bit of the drive here. You can really hear some nice coloration. Maybe we'll do more on the higher frequencies. Okay. That's before. Really nice. What's nice about API EQs in general is on the top end you can boost them quite a bit and they always sound smooth. Now we didn't do any boosting on the low end for the kick drum. We could. Like maybe what I could do down here is around 50 hertz, give it a little bit of boost, and then cut out around 500 for the mids. Let's get a little bit of boost on that kick. You can see it now. Maybe turn down the before. And then here's the wave view of this if you want to look at it from a wave view. I don't like that as much, but you can. It's before. Sounds great. If we change the compressor type from old to new, let's see when the snare comes in, how much compression we're going to get. Okay, okay, so remember I said earlier that the new is going to give you a more cleaner, a little bit more crisper sound, and I could definitely hear it in the snare, where it's a little bit more warm, and in the cymbals. It's a little bit more warmer on the old style, just different type of compressor circuit. So here's the new. Old. Hear that? So there is a difference there. It's not just hype. Kind of like this. Okay, so that's drums. Sounds great. Let's try acoustic guitars. Let's see what that sounds like. Let's come over here to our acoustic guitar where we got some guitars out. So the sustain is going to bring out a little bit more of the clarity, a little bit more of the crispiness of that, which is going to help it sit a little bit better in the mix. I know we're doing this in solo. So even a transient designer type, works kind of well with stuff like this again, but you want to do it sparingly. Nice. Try to get rid of some of that mid-range on that acoustic. Maybe a little bit of a shelf here at 12.5. Even at 6 dB, which is a lot, it doesn't get really brittle. Let's try some compression. 4-to-1. Put the compressor first. A little faster attack. Turn down the output of this plugin a little. What are we doing? About a 4-to-1 ratio? Okay. The one thing I don't like is you don't know how much dB of compression you're actually compressing. You have to use your ears, which is always the best way, but there's no visual. Because I think on the console one, if I remember right, there's a gain reduction meter with LEDs that are marked, I believe. Maybe that's why, I don't know. So we'll use our ears. How about that? Again, old style, a little warmer. A little crispier. That's before. After. I mean, big difference shaping wise, right? I mean, it sounds really good. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to listen to the whole band pretty soon. Let's do this one more time. Let's do this on maybe some lead vocals. And then what I've done already is I've already done it on the bass and on the electric guitars, and we could bring in all 5 instances and turn them on and off so you can hear the cumulative effect. So let's get a little bit of vocals here. And let's see what this does. So far, I'm pretty happy with the way it sounds. I mean, it definitely sounds great, sounds API-ish, which it should, right? So let's take a listen to some vocals and see what we have.
Every now and then I feel a little strange.
Okay, right.
Yes, a little strange. It's true. Sometimes late at night I feel it sneaking in. I can't chase it out with TV or the news.
Okay, let's see
I
Q.
get tired of walking the line.
Let's first compress this a little.
I'm reaching out for someone. I'm reaching out for you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Every now and then I feel a little strange. Yes, a little strange.
Okay, let's get some EQ happening.
It's true. Sometimes late at night I feel it sneaking in. I can't chase it out with TV or the news. I get tired of walking the line.
Put a little extra drive on this just for the hell of it.
I'm reaching out for someone.
You can hear it.
I'm reaching out
That's
for
before.
you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm reaching out for someone. I'm reaching out for you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay, so now we've done that on 3 instruments. As I said, I've already done it on bass. I've already dialed in a little sound here for bass, and I've already done it on the electric guitars and the keyboards to kind of keep this video short. You get the idea of how the channel strip works. So now let's listen to this thing on everything. And let's just see what the cumulative effect is. Let me just make sure the balancing is still right. Let's see.
Now and then I feel a little strange. Yes, a little strange. It's true.
Okay.
Sometimes late at night I feel it sneaking in. I can't chase it out with
Before?
TV or the news. I get tired of walking the line. I'm reaching out for someone. I'm reaching out for you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm reaching out for someone. I'm reaching out for you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Before? Okay, so there it is. I mean, that's the cumulative effect of what, 3, 6 instances of this. Let's check our CPU. I know we're not really using a lot here, but just so people will understand, I'm running it in 3% using 6 instances of this. Yes, I have a 6-core or an 8-core processor in my iMac Pro with 64 gigs of RAM. It's a little bit more higher spec, more for video than audio, so it might be a little more higher spec than what some of you have at your studio. But if you have a moderately, well-spec'd computer, this should be no problem. I'm sure you could put 20 or 30 of these in your session across all your tracks, which is really the right way to use this, is to use this on each one of your individual tracks so you get the cumulative effect and more of that real true analog workflow. So I think this is a great sounding API. Again, you can go check out the video in the live stream playlist where you see me compare this to the API Vision channel strip by Universal Audio, as well as the Lindell 50 by Brainworks and Plugin Alliance. It's a different kind of thing. It's not going to sound exactly the same. They're not supposed to, but they're different in feature set, different in the way they look. You may like one or the other. This normally retails for a couple of $100 or so, this plugin. It's okay. Is it the best API channel strip on the market? I think it's, in my opinion, the Universal Audio and the Plugin Alliance one, I like a little bit better personally. I'm not a big fan of the display here. I don't like the fact that you don't see the gain reduction here. You just see the little meters. I know you need to use your ears. That's totally cool. I'm still not really sure on why I don't see the display properly in the EQ section. Again, maybe some of you guys can comment below. I do like the transient designer shape section, and I also like the drive and the drive character. That's very cool. That's something that's really good, and it sounds great. It really does sound good. I don't have really any Softube plugins. It's my first crack at it. I wish that, and maybe they will at one point, that their SSL channel strip as well as their Neve channel strip, I wish that one wasn't just for the physical hardware of console 1, that they make it native like this as well. If they do, I'll check those out as well. But this is a cool plugin, so you may want to check it out over at Softube. So I want to thank you so much for watching this video. So as I said at the beginning of the video, I want to give you another free gift. You already know about the free course over at Home Recording Made Easy, the free mixing course worth $50. Go check that out. But I also want to give you a coupon code. So if you check out the mini mixing course, you like my style of teaching, you want to learn a little bit more, get a little bit more deep into recording, mixing, and mastering, you could check out any of the other courses on my website. And if you use the coupon code YouTube25, that will take 25% off any other training course on the website. So check that out. Links will be in the description box below. And then finally, if you really want to learn the craft of mixing in a very non-technical way, and you want to join a community of home recording musicians and aspiring audio engineers who are trying to get better at the craft of mixing, I have a mixing membership website called mixingmadeeasy.net. Again, check that out when you have a moment. All the links will be in the description box below. And until next week's next plugin review, my name's been Dave with HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com, and I will see you very, very soon. Take care, everybody.